Hi everyone, welcome to Grey's Anatomy, episode number 4. In this one, I'm going to give you some tips on how to start studying all of the extremities. If you don't know them already, go back and review all of the region terms. It's going to help you a lot to identify muscles, arteries, nerves, and veins. For example, if you know that the popliteal region is the region posterior to the knee, then you wouldn't be surprised whenever I told you that the popliteus muscle is posterior to the knee. Same goes with the radial artery. Radial means lateral aspect of the forearm. Okay, that's where you're going to find the radial artery. Same goes with medial and lateral plantar nerves. Plantar, bottom of the foot, one's medial, one's lateral. I could go on and on. The same thing goes for terms of movement. If you're not an expert at these by now, you're going to want to be. Because most of these muscles that you're going to see in the extremities actually have their main action as part of their name. Some examples are the supinator muscle and the abductor hallucis muscle. If you know what supination is, then you should know what the supinator muscle does. And then if you know what abduction is, then you should know what the abductor hallucis muscle does. And if you know your regions, you should know what the hallucis is, or what it sounds like. It should sound like hallux. And if you know what that is, the big toe, then you should know that the abductor hallucis is going to abduct your big toe. It's as simple as that. Speaking of the hallucis, I always got the hallucis and the pollicis mixed up. The hallucis is your great toe, or the hallux, and the pollex is your thumb. So how I remembered these was every time that you stub your big toe, it hurts like hell or hall. So that's how I remembered that one. And then Dr. Gordon, the instructor at the University of Oklahoma for Human Anatomy, taught us that politicians always give you a thumbs up, so that's why your pollex is your thumb. If you need to know the origin, insertion, action, and or innervation of the muscles for the extremities, I suggest making a chart. You'll see very soon that there are lots of muscles that you'll have to know. So I think that it's most beneficial if you separate them into what compartment of the body that they're in. For example, I would have the posterior thigh followed by the posterior leg, or the posterior arm followed by the posterior forearm. After doing this, you'll notice that each body compartment is mainly innervated by one nerve. After you've made your second order chart, you can go ahead and put all of those nerves that mainly innervate each body compartment onto an innervation man. You'll have to make both an anterior and a posterior side for him. So I would just draw one anteriorly, one posteriorly, and that will help you so much whenever you have to jump to what nerve mainly innervates each body compartment. If you're in Human Anatomy at OU with Dr. Gordon and you haven't heard about this yet, you will very soon. She taught it to us and it helps so much with learning second order for this unit. I'm the type of student who has to put in so much more work than somebody who might get the same exact grade as me with barely studying. So these are a few extra methods that I used if you're just like me. So to start out, I went back and retraced my innervation man onto a blank sheet of paper, and next to each body compartment, I drew out the muscles like superficial to deep, and then I starred any of the exceptions, because I'm pretty visual, but I also like to write it out, hear it, do the action. Just have to do it all to learn this stuff. So this was step 1 for learning that, and then I did the same for the arteries, but I just drew them out. I would draw like a very rough sketch of an arm, as you can see right here. And then I kind of just drew a tube-like shape going wherever the main arteries go. My next step was to start thinking a little bit deeper. As you guys know, you're not just going to see a patient and be like, hey, what muscle was cut? Or hey, you tell me why that muscle isn't working. You need to be able to think backwards by getting the complication that's happening and tracing it back to what nerve is wrong or why it's not getting blood or something like that. So what actually helped me do that was I had to write out every single muscle innervated by each nerve. So I would say X, Y, and Z are innervated by the ulnar nerve, and these muscles are innervated by the radial nerve, and so on and so forth. That helped me create a little shortcut in my brain whenever somebody says, oh my goodness, the radial nerve is cut. What's wrong now? After doing that, I did the same thing for the main major functions of the extremities. So I did X, Y, and Z are the muscles that flex the forearm. X, Y, and Z are the muscles that extend the forearm. So if somebody said, oh no, Susie's no longer to flex her arm, what muscles aren't working? I can automatically jump to X, Y, and Z. After doing that, you can go ahead and take it one step further and add a nerve and a movement together and say that they're both not working and get very specific as to which muscles do both of those things. My last major tip is to use your time wisely in lab. For me, I would bring my second order and try to think of all the different questions that could be asked about each muscle as I was seeing it and touching it and being able to kind of act it out while you're standing up in lab. And it helps a lot. But do not let it confuse you, because the bodies in lab are not in anatomical position. Their forearms are not supinated. So if you were thinking of the body in your mind on a lecture exam and there's a question that says that the thumb is medial to the pinky, obviously in some better anatomical terms, you might be picturing that, oh yeah, it is because the body's like this, but you're always referring back to anatomical position, so that would actually be incorrect. I hope that these basic tips help you get started learning the extremities. As always, thank you so much for watching. Comment if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and I'll be sure to address them. And feel free to subscribe if you want to start getting notifications for every time that I post a video so that you don't miss any. And that's all that I have for today, so I'll see you in the next one.